Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Gurudev. Please accept my humble obeisances.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Vrindavan Mahimamrita, glories of Vrindavan. This section is about, the whole major section is Braj Bhajan, means Raganuga Bhakti, and we're discussing about Shastras are not required. So now we have the 17th chapter, the 17th Shataka, which is the last one of the book. This is 1735. Samena mata same me pitana. Samena bandhu sachame sakana. Samena mitram sachame gaurorun. Yo me na brindavana vasamadishet. She is not my mother, mata nahi. He is not my father, pita nahi. He is not my friend, bandhu nahi. He is not my brother or well-wisher, saka nahi. He's not my relative, and he's not my spiritual master. If these various people, like mother, father, friend, uncle, spiritual master, if they don't tell me and instruct me to reside in Vrindavan, this again is his serious fanaticism about living in Vrindavan. That anyone who says, if your mother says, why you have to go to Vrindavan, you should stay in Bombay with your brother and help the family business. What is this coming? They're not your father. I'm just repeating Vrindavan Das Thakur. Don't say, you're my father. You're not my mother. He's saying, hey mom, hey listen, look at this, page 605. This great saint, Prabhupada Saraswati, from the inner circle of Radharani's Ashtasakis. She's coming 500 years ago to say that if your mother says, don't live in Vrindavan, and doesn't instruct you and teach you and order you to go there, then you're not my mother, and you're not my father. Then your father will reply, okay, fine. Then my money is not yours either. And my business is not yours, so chalega. Oh, Dad, you are my father, and this is our family business, and by the way. So we have to be extremely detached and niskinchan sadhu, and not depend on anything of this world to make a statement like this. And of course, he was that sadhu. So we may be still swimming in the ocean of relativities and swallowing the salty water of mothers and fathers and so-called friends and well-wishers. There's so-called well-wishers. We meet our well-wishers and they say, oh, why do you live? There's nothing in Vrindavan. Why do you want to go to stay here, work for me, and I'll give you a raise? What is this Vrindavan? Radhakan, some village. Huh. Pigs and monkeys and dogs stealing your clothes and pigs everywhere. Huh. How can you give up this hi-fi life of Mumbai to live in such a cow dung place like that? Is it money you want? What is it? You want more money? Take more money. Be happy. Money is God. Money is happiness. Buy whatever you want. So they're not my friends. If my guru tells me, hey, don't live in Vrindavan. But no guru tells any disciple that, because every guru, as far as I know, all the guru bhais I know, and every guru I've ever met, they tell every one of their disciples to live in Vrindavan. Because they tell them that your mind should always be Vrindavan. Gurus meet their disciples. I know one guru, when he meets his disciples in Russia or anywhere, Europe, he meets them sometimes, and they say, "Oh, Gurudev, this problem, my wife, husband, this, that." So then he asks the question, "Where is your mind?" Krishnadas, I have one question as your guru. Where is your mind? Well, I know you often tell us that our mind should be Vrindavan. We should always remember Vrindavan. And our body is moving anywhere, but our mind, so we should be living in Vrindavan, regardless of where our Prabhupada Desh is, or where our Seva Stali is, or where we've been posted or delegated, or where we land up doing our life and our means of livelihood and our bhakti practices. But that's all circumstance we may find ourselves in, where we're apparently externally away from the Holy Dham, but you've always told us we should never be away from the Dham, always be remembering Gaura and Nitai and their Leelas, hearing about them and speaking about them, singing about them, and the same with Radha and Krishna. I know you've instructed us that way, to be in Vrindavan no matter where we are, Ukraine or Russia or anywhere, but I'm not really carrying out your instruction. So when you ask me, where is my mind? I have to say my mind is in Kiev. My mind is in Mumbai. Where's your mind? In Mumbai. So I think all the gurus, no one can, it doesn't mean that the guru says, pack up everything, close your business in Australia, move your family and buy some little piece of land and live in Vrindavan doing nothing, living off your money. I don't think, it doesn't mean that. Vrindavan is too small. Everybody in ISKCON around the world can't come live here. There's not even enough space, especially now. The irony is of Vrindavan right now that over 50% of all the housing that's being built is built. I mean, all the land area and available housing and apartments for rent, they're all built and rented and owned, all those apartments, by people. The 60% of them never live in Vrindavan. So even if you want to come and live here, you won't be able to find any place because there's no vacancies. Everything is taken by people that don't even live here. So you want to come here and live, and you won't even be able to find a place to live. That's what, when you meet the landlords and owners of different buildings, they say it's very difficult to maintain this building because hardly anyone lives here. When people live here, they sweep around their house or in front of their apartment. But it's a horrible maintenance because we have a whole room. Sometimes a window gets broken by a monkey, or we don't know about it, and all dust gets inside, and the apartment gets deteriorated. It's locked up and owned by someone far away. The gurus will tell everyone, this is what Prabhupada Saraswati is, that the true spiritual master will always point his disciples' mind towards Vrindavan and Mayapur, always inspiring him by talking about Vrindavan, Mayapur, Gaura Lila, and reminding him, where is your mind? Where is your mind? So we'll continue tomorrow. Mahimamrita ki jai. This is chapter 17, text 36. In this particular category, Shastras are not required. Once there's some discussion with Srila Prabhupada in New York, Meher Baba. There's one famous Baba called Meher, M-E-H-E-R, Indian Guru Sadhu person. Meher Baba. And he was a very charismatic yogi, guru, sadhu on the scene in the 60s and 70s when Prabhupada was here with us. And he wrote a book, and in this book he said, you don't need any book to become God. You are God. You don't need any books. You don't need any religious books. And it was a very long book he wrote describing his philosophy, how you don't need any books to realize that you are God. So Prabhupada, devotees were so naive and apparently illogical in those days due to various types of foodstuffs that they were engaging in that melu, during that time, melu. So they couldn't quite see through the farce of the whole presentation. So one devotee said, Prabhupada, there's one very famous, here in New York City, right now there's one very famous yogi guru, his name is Meher Baba. And Prabhupada said, what is his philosophy? As he would usually say. He said, well, he's written one book, which all the young people are reading. And in this book he says that we don't need any books. We don't need a book to realize God. And Prabhupada said, what a farce, what a cheater. Then why is he writing a book? Why is he cheating people? He's taking your 200 rupees to read a book that tells you don't need a book. So that after hearing from Prabhupada, the devotees started laughing at that person's ideas, philosophy, and also his own stupidity that he bought the book. So this is, of course we do need books, but reading a book, and in this book, in a similar way, Vrindavan Das Thakur is writing in a book called Vrindavan Mahimamrita that we don't need any Shastras. And this is a Shastra. We're reading a Shastra by an author who's telling us, you don't need any books. So obviously, is that what he's saying? No, that's not what he's saying. He said you don't need mundane books. You don't need Shastras are not required. Shastras mean Shastras, there's so many Shastras, they're Dharma Shastras. There's 20 different books called Dharma Shastras collectively. 20 different books. Manasamhita, many. And they're all about punya and pap and prayashchitta and how to promote karma kanda. 90% of the Vedic literature is all about karma kanda. 90. There's karma kanda upasana, there's jnana kanda upasana, and Vaishnava upasana. Upasana means the worship of karma and manipulating karma for material advantage and promotion. Then there's jnana upasana. Various shastras that teach the upasana, method of worship to realize Brahman. And then there's the Vaishnava upasana. I met the agamas and the pancharatric literature and the agamas, which are supplementary to the shrutis and smritis. Because most of the smritis are these dharma shastras, the smritis. Like we have smartas, you heard of the smartas? The smritis or smartas are the karma kandiyas that are interested in all kinds of placating of demigods and counteracting pap and increasing punya and sukriti and enjoyment and promotion to higher planes of varnas or higher ashramas and higher material positions in this planet and other planets, if you're so much fortunate. So the Vaishnava Kanda or the Vaishnava Upasana is a very few percentage of all the Vedas. So those Shastras, when you say you don't need Shastras, you don't need these type of Shastras. But we need Radharasa Sudhanidhi, and we need the Sandarbhas, and we need Rupa Goswami's writings. Himself, Prabhupada Saraswati, he's reading every day Rupa Goswami's writings, Savamala. He's reading Sanatana Goswami's writings. These are the foundational literatures. He's a contemporary of them. So he's not writing a book to say, you don't need any Shastras, only mine. You only need Vrindavan Mahimamrita, which says you don't need any Shastras. Oh, the Rupa Goswami, Sanatana, Jiva, these they don't need. Who says you need Shastras? Just live in Vrindavan. Well, they did that. They followed your instruction, Prabhupada Saraswati. Jiva and Rupa and Sanatana just lived in Vrindavan. Rupa and Sanatana and Raghunath Das, they all lived about 30, 40 years. Jiva lived 65 years. Because he came young. 65 solid years, that's a lot. Most of the Goswamis lived 35, 40, 45. Because they came when they were older. And they lived in Vrindavan and they wrote Shastras about Vrindavan and about Radha Krishna Vrindavan. These Shastras are not Shastras, they are Vrindavan. So when he says Shastras are not required for Brajavas or Raganuga Bhajan, I said Braj Bhajan means Raganuga Bhakti. So for Raganuga Bhakti and Braj Bhajan, Shastras are not required. What kind of Shastras? The ones I mentioned. But the Shastras, these are sacred Shastras. And Rupa Goswami is saying, and Jiva is confirming, that one of the primary limbs of Raganuga Bhakti is Bhagavat Shravan Rasik Bhakta Sahasanga. To hear the Bhagavat, Srimad Bhagavatam Shastra, Puran, the Purans are Shastras, to hear that in the association of devotees in Vrindavan, Satam Prasangam Mavarya Sampido, Vidya Karna Rasayana. It is like Rasayana for the ears and heart. Karna Rasayana. So he's saying, yeah, live in Vrindavan with Shastras. So Rupa and Jiva Goswami is saying, living in Vrindavan with Shastras. And then Vrindavan is saying, live in Vrindavan without Shastras. It seems to be a contradiction. But that's why if we read Shastras by ourselves, we'll get contradicted. We'll get confused. So therefore the sadhu or the sadhu will unravel and explain it to you as we're hearing. So all these verses we're discussing, many verses on this point of Shastras are not required for Braja Bhajan. 36. Tat Shastra mama karnamulam apina swapne abhijayado ho Shri Brinda Vipinasya Yatra Mahima Nati Adbhuta Shriyate Te Me Justipatam Nayantur Nitiram Sambhashita Mapnuyav Ye Vrindavana Vayav Shrutigate Nolasinas Te Kalaha. Prabhupada Saraswati Pad is saying, may the statements of those scriptures, now he's saying exactly what I said. May the statements of those scriptures, not all scriptures, may the statements, verses, shlokas, discussions of those verses that do not describe the supreme glories of Vrindavan, like my book, like Rupa Goswami's books, like Sanatan, like Jiva, like Raghunath Das, never, what did Raghunath Das write? Dan Keli Chintamani. It's about the Dan Leela of Radha Krishna, Dan Gati Govardhan. That's about Vrindavan. So may those Shastras never enter my ear holes. So now this is the clincher, as they say, to zero in on the point. I never see or talk with people that don't feel happy after hearing the qualities and glories of Vrindavan. So I suppose that people, let's say devotees that are listening to this webinar, it's called? Webinar or seminar. This webinar, they must be very much attached to Vrindavan because they're every day hearing the glories of Vrindavan. And they're happy to hear the glories and qualities of Vrindavan because we're hearing an hour every day. And if they're not, then they wouldn't come on the webinar. We're happy to hear them, and others are also. Another translation, may those scriptures where the glories of Vrindavan are never heard, even in dreams, may those scriptures where the glories of Vrindavan are heard, are never, even in dreams, enter my ears. May those wretched persons who do not rejoice to hear Vrindavan's glories never converse with me and never enter the pathway of my eyes. So of course you find people like that in places where we don't want to be anyway. But if you go to cities, mundane cities in the world, like Mumbai or Delhi, and you tell some relatives or friends about Vrindavan, they will rather say, oh, mostly that, what is this? I don't want to hear about this. Let's talk about Mumbai. You won't find that many receptive ears. Because people live where they live, some by choice, but most by destiny. And they become very attached to wherever they perch their little feathers. As the birds become attached to the branch, and every day they land on the same branch and poop in the same place on the ground. Prabhupada took a tour of the temple in Vrindavan. I've told this several times. And there was a chandelier in one room before it opened. And they were getting everything ready for the opening. There was lots of construction and people going in and out, and so it wasn't really open yet. So Prabhupada walked around the tour of the temple with Surabhi Palyantan Swami and Gunarnava and some other devotees involved in construction and management. He pointed his cane on the floor. He said, "What is this? What is this? What does this mean?" And what he was pointing his cane to on the floor was a pile of bird remnants, or what did I say? Stool. Bird stool. A good-sized pile. And Prabhupada asked for the philosophical meaning of this Everyone knew that Prabhupada was a very deep and profound philosopher, and everything had deep meaning. So no one wanted to sound stupid by not positing a reply or an answer to Swamiji's inquiry. But so everyone was silently, deeply thinking and meditating and trying to come up with the answer. So then one rather bold and free-spirited disciple said, well, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, means, I don't know what it means, but it's birth stool. Very matter-of-factly, he precisely identifies the subject in question. Because Prabhupada just said, what does this mean? And the devotee said, it's I don't know what it means, but it appears to be birth stool. Then Prabhupada again says, but what does it mean? And no one knew the answer. And Prabhupada said, it shows that birds are living on the chandelier. And they've been they've been perching on the chandelier in the same spot every day for months. And this is a 1 month collection of their offering to the floor of the temple from their perch. And Prabhupada wanted to explain that it shows even birds become attached to their place of residence. They found a chandelier to shack up on, and they stayed perched over there and made it home sweet home, and they were really attached to their chandelier and passing still in their favorite toilet and their favorite penthouse apartment and their favorite Arabian Sea out the window. And they can't even think about moving out of there. Even if a cyclone or tufan comes or tsunami and washes them away, they'll go away with the waves rather than move to Vrindavan. So such attached people, which there are millions of them around the world, if you mention the glories of Vrindavan, they won't like it. They won't feel happy to hear about the glories and qualities of Vrindavan. So these type of people are not, Vrindavan Das Thakur, he doesn't want to see them. I don't want to see such people, nor do I want to hear any words from their mouths. So that really limits your association. Because devotees are about 1,000th of 1,000,000% of the world's population. So basically he's saying, stay in Vrindavan and associate with devotees. There's another verse here on this topic in chapter 17, verse 54. Interesting commentaries on these verses, I must say. It starts in Vrindavan and ends up in Arabian Sea. 1754. So basically we read this book divided into categories and we extracted all the different ones, or most of them. Yattad balgantu shastrani aho janataya griyatam yattadeva samsam yattat matam stapayatu lagu matis tarka matra pravina haspakam tu ujwalaka eka unmad vimala rasa prema piyusha murte shiradaya vihara tava miha na binani atra niryati chaitan ujvala eka unmad vimala rasa prema piyusha murti. That's a wonderful phrase. Balgantu shastrani, let the scriptures brag, boast or brag, let people accept whatever they want, which, as I mentioned, the Karmakanda scriptures are offering so many delights and tantalizing attractions. Let the narrow-minded mental speculators strengthen their opinions. Still, my mind does not want to leave Vrindavan, which is saturated with transcendental love of God, and which is the place of Sri Radhika's pastimes. Sri Radhaya Vihar. Vihar means that, Bihar. Bihari. one who enjoys pastimes in Vihara. This is Shri Radhaya Vihara, her place of her pastime. Vrindavan Vihara. Vrindavan Lila. They're saying Vimala. Vimala Rasa Prema Murti. Vrindavan is the very form of pure Prema Ras. Ek Unmad Vimala Prema Ras. That is just the most wonderful effulgent madness. Most wonderful effulgent madness manifests in one of Piyusha, who drinks the Prema Ras, that pure Prema Ras. The form, the Murte means the form. The form of that Vimala Rasa Prema, one who drinks that, he becomes effulgently maddened with the pastimes of Sri Radha and Vrindavan. It's very interesting, we're discussing about these different scriptures, Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda. Exactly, he's addressing this. Let the scriptures brag. So some of the scriptures are talking about Karma Kanda, where people get what they want. Then other scriptures are talking about Jnana Kanda. So he's addressing the same thing here. Let the scriptures brag, let people accept whatever they want. Those are the Karma Kandiyas. They want so many things, so they look in the scriptures, and the scriptures brag about those things. You want good health, worship Suryadev. You want this, you want that, worship this. You want a good husband, you worship Shiva. You want this, you want to overcome obstacles, you worship Hanuman, fast on Tuesday. Many things. So they're bragging, they're announcing, they're loudly proclaiming, do this and you get these wonderful things. So the Karma Kandiyas, they accept those things. And then the low-minded people, they aim a little higher than this body and mind and senses, a little higher than this immediate world, and they have their eyes fixed on the higher realm. Beyond Devi Dham, they want to go to Hari Dham, or Jyotir Dham. Hari Jyotir Dham. They want to play in the rays of light of non-distinction. Well, I want to play in the rays of light of non-distinction, known as the Brahman. And their individual existence is not very joy-producing. So they want to merge that in the homogeneous realm of unified consciousness. This is the counterpart to the physics presentation of the field, what do they call it? The unified field. A unified field is a concept in quantum mechanics and physics. Unified field. So the unified field is the Brahma Jyoti. It's a unified field of conscious units appearing to be one field, and because they've given up their participation with their individuality, they suppress their individuality to such an extent it appears to be non-existent, but it's eternally existent. They've covered them. They've entered deeply into the Jyoti, so far deeply into the light of this light of the Lord, this Brahma Jyoti, that they're apparently just floating particles of light, enjoying the bliss of eternal slumber in non-distinction, non-differentiation. This is the Brahman reality. Mental speculators strengthen their opinions. Still, in other words, let the Karma Kandiyas and Jnana Kandiyas, let them run around with their shastras. I won't leave Vrindavan, because this place is saturated with Prema Ras. There's another verse we can peruse here. The Vedas may jump and dance as they like. The people may think whatever they like. Stapayatu lagumatis. Then tarka means argument. The Vedas may jump and dance as they like. People may think whatever they like. And the unintelligent logicians may establish whatever theories they like. This is Tarko. Tarko Matra Pravina. Pravina means very established, very strong. Tarka. Tarka means arguments. There's that verse in the Mahabharata. Tarko Pratishta something Abhina. Tarka Pratishta. And the last line it says, forget all that he said that logicians and speculators always argue about the truth. Tarko Pratishta Abhina. It just goes on. There's no unity. But the real way to success is Mahajano Yena Kata Sapanta. That's a verse. Simply follow the path of the Mahajans. That'll settle all the arguments and settle all the confusions which usually happen when a bunch of philosophers and mental speculators get together, they have lots of, as Vivekananda said, and it's a very popular phrase among the older generation in India, many men, many minds. I think you maybe heard that before in India. It was quite popular. Have you heard that statement? India has so many people, so many men, many minds. So this is the idea of Tarko Pratishta Shrutiya Vibhinna Nasavashir Yasya Matam Nabinham Dharmasya Tattvam Nihitam Guhayam Mahajno Yena Katasapanta. Oftentimes you hear this one phrase. Most often we hear this phrase, Mahajno Yena Katasapanta. Just follow the Panta, Mahajan Panta. Follow the path of the Acharyas, of the Vaishnavas, the pure Shuddha Bhakti Path, Bhakti Marg Bhakti Path, Shuddha Bhakti Path. Mahajno Yena Kata Sapanta. That Panta, that pure unadulterated path of the sadhus, the self-realized Mahajanas, those self-realized predecessors, the Acharyas, Acharya Mam Vijanayan, Acharya Purusho. Evam Parampara Praptam Imam Rajarshayu Vidu. So this line is less heard, but more than the other two. Dharmasya Tattvam Nihitam Guhayam. Guha. Guha means hidden, cave-like, secret. And Tattva, as we know, means truth, substance, substantial reality. Substantial reality, or flawless truth, is Tattva. Nam Tattva, Dham Tattva, Bhagavat Tattva, Prema Tattva, Rasa Tattva, Vaishnava Tattva, Guru Tattva, Shiva Tattva. This is Dharmasya Tattvam, Nihitam. Nihitam means it's placed in the heart, in the guha, in the cave of the heart is placed the truth of Dharma. So the truth of religion, because Dharma Shastra, Dharma means religion. There's 20 Dharma Shastras we mentioned to you already. And they describe Karma Kanda, how to promote yourself. It's Dharma, it's religion. It's connected to the demigods and indirectly to Vishnu, Brahma and Shiva, and the 33 primal demigods. And by sacrifice and puja and yajna and austerity and dan and charity and so many sukriti and punya pious activities, one pacifies and appeases these devas and planetary lords and gets favors to enjoy the karmic ride more comfortably. But this is not the really secret. There's a secret in the Dharma Shastras. That secret is not material enjoyment, and the secret is not Swarga Mukti, or Gandharva Mukti, or Chandraloka Mukti, or Indriya Sukh, or Gandharva Sukh. And the secret is not Brahma Suyuja Mukti, or Brahma Kaivalya. That's not the secret. The secret of the Shastras, Dharmasya Tattvam Nihitam Kuhayam. That Dharma Tattva, that secret, topmost essential truth of the religious scriptures, is Nihitam, is placed in the cave of whom? It's in a cave. Whose cave is that? The cave, the heart. The cave-like heart of the Mahajanas. They will tell you the real path. Mahajano Yena Kata Sapanta. Tako Pratishta Shrutayo Vibhinna Nasavrashir Yasya Matam Nabinnam Dhammasya Tattvam Nihitam Guhayam Mahajano Yena Katasapanta. Mahajano Yena Katasapanta. This is, I believe, this is Vana Parva. There's Bija Parva and Vana Parva. Dry arguments, Tarko, Pratishta, they don't establish anything. Tarko Apratishta. Pratishta. Pratishta means to establish, to cement, to firm something, secure, found, establish. Tarko Apratishta. Tarko Apratishta Shutiya Vibhinna. People argue, the rishis, munis, many men, many minds, they argue. When they never establish anything. They argue until the cows come home, as they say. Ulta Goshta, Uttara Goshta Lila. Shruti Vibhina, because the Shrutis, the original Shrutis, the Atharva Veda, Rig Veda, Samaveda, Yajurveda, they're Vibhina. There's so many varied and different viewpoints and opinions of different rishis. Well, it's like this. It's Patanjali. Patanjali is a great rishi. He says, it's yoga, man. It's Ashtanga yoga, 8 steps of the yoga ladder. That'll take you up there. To where? To Brahman. So that's his contention. So he writes sutras. Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. And then he says, a personality whose opinion does not differ from others is not considered a great sage. Rishina matam nabina. If you're mata, your mata means your opinion, your idea, your conception, your viewpoint, your understanding, your contribution, your realization. If it's not different from another rishi, hey rishi, hey Patanjali, what's your viewpoint? Oh, hey, I got my sutra. Oh, yeah, that's cool. Did you see my sutra? Oh, I have my Bhagavad Sutra, or this other sutra, my Samhita. So this is, oh yeah, that's a good one. Yours is different than mine, and yours are different, as they say. So they say, okay, forget all this. The Mahabharata is telling Banaparva 313.117, forget all this. Find a true Mahajan. The real true seeker of Dharma is hidden in his heart. What is the seeker of Dharma? Prem Dharma. Prema Purushartha Mahan. Pancha Purushartha. Prema Purushartha. That this is the greatest goal, is love of God. This gives all success, all fulfillment, all happiness, imbues life with charm, imbues life with delight, inner satisfaction, and eternal joy and bliss in a spiritual relationship with Bhagavan Sri Krishna. This is a Dharma Tattvam. And that secret is in the hearts of the devotees. The real, they are the Mahajanas. So many rishis there, okay, they're Mahatmas, they're good rishis, but Mahajana. We say the Dwadasa Mahajan. In the 6th canto of Bhagavatam, the Yamaraj comes as a child, and he explains that, okay, there's so many rishis, so many Mahatmas, there's so many rishis, but there's some rishis that are very special. And the Swayambhur Narada Shambhu Pralado Janako Bhishmo Bali Vayasaki Kumara Swayambhur Narada Shambhu Kumara Kapila Manu Pralado Janako Bhishmo Bali Vayasaki Avayam. Lord Brahma, he is a great sage. Swayambhuva, he has his sampradaya, Brahma sampradaya. Bhagavan Narad, Swayambhur Brahma, Narada Muni, Shambhu Lord Shiva. The Kumara, 4 Kumaras, Kapila Muni, Devahuti's son, Kapila Shiksha, 3rd canto Bhagavatam. Sankhya, Vaishnav Sankhya. Then there's Swayambhuva Manu, one of the 14 Manus, Kapila Manu. Then Prahlad Maharaj, 7th canto Bhagavan, Prahlad Shiksha, teachings of Prahlad Maharaj, that's Prabhupada. Then there's Janak Maharaj. Janak Maharaj, of course, is the father of Sita, but I'm not sure this is the same one or not. Maybe. Then there's grandfather Bhishma. Then Bali Maharaj. He was externally appeared as a great demon, but actually he's a great teacher of religion. He taught Atmanavedanam, surrendering everything, body, mind, and soul, everything, and head at the feet of Lord Vamanadev, Lord Vishnu. So that's the highest dharmic principle, is Atmanavedanam. Then Vyasaki. Vyasaki, of course, is Shukadeva Goswami, the son of Vyas. And then Vyam, that's the speaker, is Yamaraj instructing the Yamadutas. He wasn't a child, I made a mistake. He was fully Yamaraj. These instructions were given on Yamaloka and Yamapuri. To the Yamadutas, when they tried to take Ajamil out of his body and take him to Yamapuri for judgment and punishment in hell, somehow the Vishnudutas came and saved him because he chanted Narayan one time. He said, Narayan. By chance, I was in Los Angeles in 75 or so, and Prabhupada was translating. It was just recently printed. Prabhupada was giving class on the 6th canto, on Jamil. And the devotee Pradyumna, his disciple, was very expert Sanskrit person, and maybe I think today a professor of Sanskrit in some university, Pradyumna Das, Paul Sinclair, I think is his name. He was saying that Ajamil, when the Yamadutas came, then he recited Narayan, Narayan, Narayan. And he's reading the manuscript. This is before the book was printed. This is the BBT Los Angeles, where the books were laid out, signed, Sanskrit. So we had an A4 size. It was not a book yet. It wasn't even a book yet. Prabhupada said, we will give classes on the 6th canto, which we're just working on. Bring the sheets. So no one had a book. Prabhupada didn't have a book either. I was just listening to Pradyumna read the proof sheets from the book. So Jamil, when he was seeing the frightening Yamadutas, he looked towards his son, and he remembered Narayan, and he chanted, Narayan, Narayan, Narayan. And Prabhupada had his big black glasses. He would look at his Sanskrit Bhagavatam and on his desk, because there was no BBT one, so he was looking at this big fat Sanskrit one. And his glasses like this, like on his, and he looked over. What? 3 times? Only once. It says once. Why you wrote 3 times? Oh, sorry, Prabhupada. You correct that. It wasn't printing. It was already a mistake. It's Narayan once. Narayan. Not like the Bhagavad Saptas. Narayana, 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 Narayana. Only once, Narayan. We don't want to do one of these cut-offs. People are writing in, so what is it? You just stop, which we rather like, and we're relishing it in our small sangha. But our other friends and devotees on the webinar, they say, what happened? Where's the rest of class? We feel we got left hanging. This is the beautiful verse here about, he's saying, let all the scriptures talk about karma and gyan, but all I know is I want to stay in Vrindavan, Sri Radha Vihar, the place of Sri Radha's pastimes. And I want to Vimala Rasa Prema Piyush Murti. I want to become a form. I want to become a murti. What kind of murti? I want to become a drinking murti. Our body is a vigraha, as we heard in Chaitanya Bhagavat sometimes. The vigraha, Prema Rasa, Prema Maya vigraha, the devotee's form, a vigraha. So murti means form. So Prabhupada Saraswati is saying, I don't care about gyan, promotion to heavenly planets or Brahmajyoti, Kaivalya Mukti. I simply want to drink. I'm a drinking murti. I'm not a drunk, although I'm also drunk. Sometimes a drinker becomes a drunk. He drinks until he becomes drunk. So he says, I want to become a drinking murti. Piyusha murti. Piyusha murti means a drinking murti. What do I want to drink? I want to drink Vimala Rasa Prem. Vimala Ras. This Prema Ras is ras. It's liquid. It's intoxicating, but it's pure. Bimal. There's no tamagun there. There's no rajagun, sattvagun. It's Vishuddha Sattva. It's the purest, verified form of transcendental joy. This blissful experience of loving and serving Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan. One experiences the highest ecstasies of Prema Ras, as all the components of Ras mixed together. The Vibhav, Anubhav, and the Avachari Sattvic Bhavs on the basis of the Sthayi Bhav, permanent devotional foundation. And he's saying that I want to drink this, and what will happen? Ujjvala Eka Unmad, I'll become maddened, I'll become completely maddened. So we'll conclude on that verse about drinking till we go mad, and he's saying, I don't want to leave Vrindavan, which is saturated with the transcendental love of God, which is the place of Radhika's pastimes. And here they're saying, other translation, logicians, they can establish whatever theories they like, but our heart will never leave the pastime forest of Sri Radha, Sri Radha Vihara, whose splendid form, Radharani's murti, whose splendid form is filled with the sweet nectar of pure, wildly passionate, transcendental love. So I took this phrase to apply to the liberated, pure devotee, but this translation is taking the phrase to be an adjective describing Radharani, who is mentioned in the fourth line, it's Sri Radhaya Vihar. That in that forest of Vrindavan, which is Radharani's place of wonderful pastimes, Rasa Vihar, and we have Rasa Vihari Sham, Shama Sham, Rasa Vihari Sham. So the Rasa Vihari and Rasa Viharini, Rasa Visatarani, that song is there by Vyasacharya, Hari Vyasacharya, Rasa Visacharani, Uru Unmadini. This is Vrindavan. This translation is saying that actually this Murti, this what we're seeing here in this Sanskrit is Prema Piyusha Murti. Radharani is that Murti. She's that splendid form filled with the sweet nectar of sweet love. Prema Ras. Vimala Prema Ras. And what happens when she fills up with that sweet nectar of pure, she's filled with sweet nectar of pure, wildly passionate, transcendental love. Eka Unmad. She becomes completely maddened by drinking that wonderful ras, Vimala Rasa Prem, which is so effulgent and makes her full of effulgence. Ujvala Eka Unmad Vimala Rasa Prema Piyusha Murte Sri Radha Ki Jai. And that is the Ujvala, and she's experiencing that one madness with one person whose name is Ujvala Nilamani Sham. Ujvala Nilamani Sham. It's a type of Nilamani, blue sapphire, which has Satchidananda Rupam, Sham, Krishna. And that sapphire is Ujvala, extremely brilliant with the light of Radha's love. Krishna is illuminated. Krishna's heart and mind are fully and completely illuminated with the light of Radharani's love. And that light of Radharani's love enters Krishna's heart and penetrates deeply into Krishna's heart, and then resonates and radiates and expands and illuminates everything in the forest of Vrindavan with a beautiful Sham effulgence, which is known as Shamaras. So this is Vrindavan, the place of Shamras and Radharas Sudanidhi. Prabhupada Saraswati doesn't want to leave it. He wants to drink the Shamras. And he wants to drink the Radharas Sudanidhi. That's why he wrote the Radharas Sudanidhi, because he's drinking it, he's seeing it, he's tasting it, and he's sharing it. That's the mercy of the Vaishnavas. They're seeing it, they're drinking it, they're experiencing it, they're relishing it, and they're sharing it. That's the contact with Lord Chaitanya. He has the share concept. They have the share concept. So he has the sharing concept. There's the drinking. So we hope we can share tomorrow some more of the nectar if Prabhupada Saraswati will allow us to meet at his holy lotus feet at the Vrindavan. He's showing us in his wonderful treatise entitled Sri Vrindavan Mahimamrita. Ki Jai. Vrindavan Mahimamrita. Shastras are not required for Vrindavan. Well, we were speaking, I think yesterday, how the person's writing a Shastra that tells us that Shastras aren't required. And this is a very paradoxical point, but it's not. As we clarified yesterday, when he said Shastras, he meant Karma Kanda Shastras and Gnana Kanda Shastras, but Bhakti Shastras and Bhakti Upasana and Rasa Shastras, they are absolutely necessary and inseparable part of Brajavas or Raganuga Bhajan. Brajavajan are the Rasa Shastras. Cannot do without them. So 1786. Daivibhak pratishe dini bhavatu me syadva gurunam giram Shreni Shastra Vidami Hastu Bahuda Yakopi Kolahala. Tyaktva sadya sarana jatam akhilam lagnatu mirarika. Krita kanana vasa sampadi manag vyavavartate no mana. So he's very strongly voicing his intense attachment to Vrindavan. Even if an Akashvani, a voice from the sky, forbids me, even if the spiritual masters prohibit me, even if the scriptures raise a commotion and repeatedly bar me from residing in Vrindavan, still I will not leave Vrindavan even once. I will give up all religious practices and their results and simply live in Vrindavan, which is a place of Sri Radha's pastimes. So this is a very interesting verse, the way it's translated and what he's saying. Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur, Saraswati Pad. It's almost like saying, I will attain Krishna Prem, and having attained Krishna Prem, I will give up rules and regulations, and I will give up all rites and rituals. But if you attain Krishna Prem, you're already beyond all the rules and regulations, Vaidhi and Yama Niyama, and Vaidhi and Nisheda and everything. So he say, I stay in Vrindavan and remember Radharani and worship Radharani. That is the perfection of all sadhana. That is siddhi, that is prema, that's perfection of all, it is all religious practices, and their summit of expression and their perfection of realization. And that is the perfection of understanding the Shastras. And he's not saying about his spiritual master, he's saying if the spiritual masters prohibit me. He doesn't say my spiritual master. He says the. There's different words for the and my. So my spiritual master, Lord Chaitanya, he's told me to go to Vrindavan. So I'm here in this order. But I'm in Vrindavan now, and some other spiritual masters may meet me and they say, what are you doing here? You're very young. You should go home and go somewhere else, do service. So he said, they say. Because and then let's look at it. He's saying, I won't go anywhere, and I will live in Vrindavan simply, which is a place of Radha's pastimes, which means he knows that Vrindavan is a place of Radhika's pastimes, and he wants to be in Vrindavan to take part in those pastimes. Radhika Krita Kanana Vasa. I want to live in the forests. Kanana Vasa Sampadi. Those most opulent forests where Radhika has her wonderful pastimes. It's not Sri Radha, it's a place of Sri Radhika's pastimes, those forests. I'll live there, Vas. I'll live there in those Kanana, Krita Kanana. Radhika Krita Kanana. Very nice. Ka. Radhika Krita Kanana. Very nice. Radhika Krita Kanana Vas. Radhika Krita Kanana Vas. Radhika Krita Kanana Vas. Radhika Krita Kanana Vas Ki Jai. I want to live in the forest. Okay, next question. Where is the forest? Well, how about the 14th floor of an apartment building in Vrindavan? That's kind of like it's called Radhavan Apartments. It's called Radhavan Apartments. I guess that must be a 14th floor of forest. You can look out on the Yamuna from the 14th story of your tree. Climb up in the Kadamba tree 14 stories and look at the Yamuna and call Krishna and call gopis out of the Yamuna. Oh, if you do, you won't be able to even see what they look like from 14 stories. Radhavan Apartments. It's called Radhavan Apartments. I guess that must be a 14th floor of forest. You can look out on the Yamuna from the 14th story of your tree. Climb up in the Kadamba tree 14 stories and look at the Yamuna and call Krishna and call gopis out of the Yamuna. Oh, if you do, you won't be able to even see what they look like from 14 stories. They look like ants standing under your Kadamba tree. So this is the modern forest in Vrindavan. knock off all the trees. They build a building, a 14-story high building in Vrindavan. They call it Radhavan Apartments. Unbelievable. At any rate, this is his aspiration. So he's saying, I don't care about Shastras, but he would never end up in Vrindavan if he didn't know about Shastras. He's gone through all the Shastras, that's why he's Saraswati. Prabodh Ananda Saraswati. He's deeply fixed in bliss, Prabodh. His intelligence is Prabhuddhi. Prabhuddhi means he has so much Prakrishta Buddhi, he has such fixed and strong and concentrated and powerful intelligence that he used all his intelligence to surrender to Lord Chaitanya, and then he became blissful. And by surrendering to Lord Chaitanya and using all his intelligence to do that, then he automatically realized the teachings of all the Vedas and Shastras and Scriptures, and the perfection of religion and the ultimate Siddhanta, Tattva Siddhanta. So he became Saraswati. Saraswati is Lord Vishnu's consort. So if you have Saraswati's mercy, then you're a devotee of Vishnu. That's the real Saraswati. Oh, he's Saraswat Brahman, but he's a bogey. So he's Prabodh Ananda Saraswati. And he's, after all that input and realization and surrender and deep study, he's come to Vrindavan and said, I don't care about religious scriptures. That you did so much care before you came here that you realized that this is it. This is the epitome of all your studies. This is the summit of all dharma. So now you'll never leave. You're taking Kshetra sannyas. You'll stay in Vrindavan on the banks of the Yamuna and meditate on Krishna's Leela and write wonderful rasa shastras like Radharas Sudhanidhi and Vrindavan Mahimamrita and Sangeet Madhav, and relish the ras of Leela Katha and Leela Smarana. So this is a beautiful perfection. So even if the devas forbid him, Akashvani means the devas are speaking. So the Akash, even if they tell me, get out, hey, leave Vrindavan, or the spiritual masters in Vrindavan, or the exalted mahants and spiritual leaders tell me, hey, get lost, go back to Delhi. Or in religious practice, let's see another scripture here. Another translation. The proclamation of my fate, and the statements of the spiritual masters may both forbid me. Very interesting. In other words, the dictates of my destiny. That's another way of saying it. My destiny may forbid me. People often say that, oh Maharaj, I can't live in Vrindavan, it's not my destiny. I'm not born in India. I can't live here. And when I came in 1977, that thought went through my mind, how will I ever live here? I'm not Indian. But then I thought, I'll become Indian citizen. I know that people come from other countries to America, from Germany and France and India itself, and they become American citizens. So why can't I come from America and become Indian citizen? Because impossible is a word in a fool's dictionary. And I'm Prabhupada's aspiring disciple, so I hope that I'm not in the category of fools. And only because of His mercy I've been lifted slightly above the category. So he's saying, so my fate it's not my fate. You're so fortunate you can live in Vrindavan. I'm not so fortunate. It's not my fate. People say that. Ask your friends in Mumbai. So he's saying, maybe my destiny, and maybe the spiritual masters, they may forbid me. My destiny is not allowing me. And the words of they who know the scriptures may rise in outcry. Still, not considering what can or should be done, my heart clings to the treasure of residing. Oh, that's what the sampati is. Sampati means treasure. See the line? Radhika, that's why I don't know what's this sampati, means treasure. Sampat. Radhika krita karanavasa sampati. I was thinking that treasure of living there, and that's exactly what it says here. My heart So the heart here is manag, mana, my mind, heart or mind. My heart clings to the treasure of residing in Srimati Radhika's pastime forest, and it will not move in the slightest. That's that phrase, vyavavartate, no. Varta means path or way, vyava means this way, that way. Vyavavarte, no, mana. My mind won't move in the slightest way from this desire, have this wealth of living in Radhika Krida Kananavas. Radhika Krida Kananavas. Very beautiful phrase. Radhika Krida Kananavas. It would be nice if this particular translation we have was published in this book. It seems rather, in general, more accurate and more grammatically correct, and this one is sometimes a little more poetic in some ways. I guess it's the poetic license of the translator. Text 99. Yatrevati rason madam viharate mat preshta vastudyam bhakti kapi maha rasotsava mayatra eva nis yandate yatreva pravishanti naeva nigama shrenigiram bangayas tasmin na eva mamastu di pranayini vrindavane pavane. Oh. It's really, who knows, we don't know any Sanskrit, but a few little words and phrases here. Really very wonderful. Viharate vastu dvam bhakti kapi maharasotsava mahayatra eva nisyandate Vishanti nagama shreni Vrindavane Pavane Pavana Radhe Tero Nam Pavana Shri Vrindavan Dham Jaya Jaya Radhe Jaya Jaya Sham Jaya Jaya Shri Vrindavan Dham Pavana Radhe Pavana Sham Pavana Shri Vrindavan Dham. May I develop love for that sanctified land of Vrindavan, where my dearmost Radha Krishna are always absorbed in loving pastimes, from which emanates the transcendental flow of pure devotional service, and which is untouched by the statements of the Vedas. Vrindavani Pavani, the sanctified land of Vrindavan, Vrindavana Pavani, Prayayani, Di Pranayani. Let my thoughts, Mam Di, his thoughts means a Di, thinking, Mamastu Di. Let my thoughts always stay in purifying Vrindavan. That's what that means. Pranayani. Pranayani means prana, where you're living, Pranayani. Intelligence, living in a pure Vrindavan. That's what he says. Di pranayani, Vrindavane Pavane. Let my intelligence always reside, my intelligence and my life force, my prana, may always be residing in that purifying land of Vrindavan. Let my thoughts always stay in purifying Vrindavan, where, intoxicated by tasting the sweetest nectar, rason madam. Unmad means to be intoxicated. Rasa means the sweet nectar of the vihar, pastimes, the sweet nectar of the pastimes. Preshta vastu, that's the most intimate and powerful object and objective. Dvayam, vastu bhakti. What it says. Let my thoughts always stay in purifying Vrindavan, where I'll stay there. I'll stay in purifying Vrindavan. And when I'm there in Vrindavan, I'll become intoxicated. How will I become intoxicated? By ras. Ras unmad. Ras unmad. Prema ras unmad. Krita ras unmad. Rasa krita ras unmad. I'll become maddened and intoxicated and crazy, meditating on and remembering and rolling in the dust of Vamshivat and the Leela Stali and Yamuna Pulin and Dear Shamir on the banks of Jamuna. And thus I will relish this wonderful ras, this rasunmad, amaranam viharate. I will be intoxicated, Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur says, by tasting the sweetest nectar. My dearest divine couple enjoy pastimes. That's Prashtavastu Dvayam. We say Advaya means non-dual, the non-differentiated truth. This is Dvayam. Dvayam means two. Advaita means not two. Not dual. So Dvaya means two. Dvaya Payana Vyas. You've heard? Dvaya Payana Vyas. So Vastu Dvayam. That Vastu, that substance which comes in two. That Preshta Vastu, that most Preshta is an interesting word, because Preshta means, sounds like English, means precious. That we say Mukunda Preshta, we say Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya. We say Krishna Prashtaya. The Guru is Mukunda Preshta, Krishna Prashtaya. Means he's the most precious object in the heart of Krishna. It's translated, he's very dear. Have you ever heard the translation? He's very dear to Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna, and Mukunda. Mukunda Preshta. So Preshta means very precious and very dear. So the Preshta, it says Preshta, Mat Preshta Vastubhyam. My most precious, my most dear and confidential divine couple. Vastu Dvayam is a way of saying divine couple. Vastu. Vastu means the ultimate substance. The ultimate substance is God and His Shakti, Shaktiman. And they are two. Bhakti Kapi Maharasotsava. And the Maharas, then it goes on, where the divine couple enjoy pastimes. That's the Maharasotsava. The Maharas, Utsav, they enjoy those Maharas. And we're filled with a great festival of transcendental sweetness. Pure devotional service is manifest. Masters are not required. All these things. So this is the end of class. I think so. This is a very wonderful verse. Nice translation. The Vedas and Upanishads, because you won't find practically nothing directly about Vrindavan. Very esoteric. Only in the Puranas you find the appearance of Vrindavan. Skanda Puran, Padma Puran, Vishnu Puran, Bhagavad Puran. But Upanishads, you won't find Vrindavan directly described so wonderfully at all. Very esoteric place. You'll find Vaikuntha described. Vrindavan. Goloka, the spirit. Vaikuntha is the spiritual world. Very esoteric tattva. That's why the majority of Indians throughout the history are always Vishnu Bhaktas. In North India there's an enclave because there's lots of population up here also, so there's lots of worshippers of Radha and Krishna, more of Ram, I suppose. In South India, it's all Vishnu. This is a very nice verse. So tomorrow, actually, that's the conclusion of this particular topic. Shastra is not required. And the next subject we will be examining from this book is give up the desire to attain Vaikuntha and perform Vaidhi sadhana to attain Hari Bhakti. So give up Hari Bhakti and give up Vaidhi sadhana to attain Vaikuntha. Well, that's quite a renunciation. So we'll find out what he means by that over the ensuing days by the mercy of Prabhupada Saraswati. Vrindavan Mahimamrita Ki Jai.
It's fine, we will manage it. I could not sleep. I woke up around 1, chant till 4. Then I started preparing coming over. And she said, "You are going to the airport today. I mean, to the passport office." So I brought the jeep. So that's
Hare Krishna, Aman Prabhuji, you can share the next audio. I've sent you the link.
some ram dancing. Thank you.
This is a new section now, subsection of our division. Braj Bhajan means Raganuga Bhakti. That's the category. And we've heard that the spiritual world, of the sweetness of Braj is beyond the Upanishads and Vaidhi Bhakti. Shastras are not required for this Braj Bhajan, Raganuga Bhakti. And now we're going to hear several verses where Prabhupada Saraswati is explaining that we should give up Hari Bhajan and Vaidhi Sadhana to attain Vaikuntha and simply surrender to Radha and Krishna Vrindavan and engage in Raganuga Bhakti. Gaura Hari Bol. So this is chapter 4, verse 79. Kim Vidya Kula Shila Rupa Vibhave Kim Dhana Yagya Libi Kim Vikyati Shate Kim Ugra Tapasa Kim Nyasya Yogadi Bi Kim Tatvanu Bhavaina Vishnu Bhajane Kim Tasya Vatya Bhutte Yo Vrindavanishya Mohana Rase Pi Yasinna Sarvaswadi. What is the use of education, high birth, beauty, submissiveness, and opulence for one who has not been able to accept Sri Vrindavan, which is wonderful and enchanting for even a supreme controller as his life and soul? What is the use for such a person to give charity and perform austerities? What is the use of his vast name and fame? What is the use of his performing sacrifices, accepting the renounced order of life, and practicing yoga? What is the use of realizing the absolute truth? And what is the use of his worship of Lord Vishnu? So we mention here, give up Hari Bhajan and Vaidhi Sadhana to attain Vaikuntha. So this is one verse that supports that idea. See, what's the use of this Vaikuntha? Hari Bhajan to attain Vaikuntha. You're worshipping Lord Vishnu to attain Vaikuntha. What's the use of tapa and dhan? Janmaishvarya Shruta Shribhir. First he's telling, what's the use of your material acquirements? And what's the use of your spiritual pursuits? If your material inheritance or your material fortunes and virtues do not bring you to Vrindavan and Radha Krishna Bhajan, it is useless, worthless. High birth, Janmaishvarya Shruti Shribhir. Your knowledge, your high birth, your beauty, your humility, and your wealth, these are all blessings of punya karma, good karma. It's useless if you can't attain Vrindavan with them. What's the point of being Miss World or Miss India or some fantastically wealthy, famous movie star, sports hero? And what's the use of other people that maybe don't have some of those things, but they have wealth? So then they give so much charity. So they're baniyas and charitable persons. What's building schools and hospitals and helping the poor and feeding the hungry and clothing the needy. And what's the use of it if it doesn't end up in Braj and Raghunaga Bhajan? And what's the use of all your tapabalam on top of severe austerities and self-denial if you don't realize that the goal of life is Braj Bhajan and worship Radha and Krishna? And then, okay, you're serious about moksha, dharmarth kamoksha. You're not interested in material promotion or mystic power acquirement, and you want to get mukti to Vaikuntha. What's the use of all that also? So he's throwing out everything but Rag Bhakti, Rag Marg. Of what use are scholarship, noble birth, good character, handsomeness, and wealth? Of what use are charity, sacrifice, and other pious acts? Of what use are hundreds of fames? He's a very famous person. You have to meet this person. He's very wealthy. He's very famous. Acha, what's his fame? Oh, this, that. Acha, does he live in Vrindavan? No. Is he a devotee? No. Does he worship Radha Krishna? I don't want to meet that jerk. Why should I meet that jerk? No, he's so famous. Everybody's going in the press, this, that, movies, channels, TV coverage, international fame. International fame. He's an international superstar. Coming to Bombay. You have to go. He's going to Takatoria. Be at the stadium. 50,000 people are going to greet him. He's going to give an address to the people. So what? It's just some mundane mudha on the material world. I don't want to waste my time. Huh? It's national news coverage, international news coverage. All the movie stars are going there. All the sports heroes are going there. That's all the more reason why I don't want to go. That's the kind of place I don't want to be. Of what use is severe austerity? And of what use is renunciation, yoga, and other spiritual practices? What is the use of seeing the truth? Of what use is service to Vishnu? Of what use are those wonderful things for a person who has not made very wonderful Vrindavan, whose sweetness enchants even the Lord, his life and soul? So this Vrindavan, it's such an enchanting place that even God is enchanted by it. Krishna leaves Vrindavan and he goes to the most opulent, amazingly glorious places like Mathura and Dwarka, where the wealth and opulence and grandeur and pomp and majesty was thousands of times greater than Indrapuri. And he all the time, whenever he was in Dwarka and Mathura, he was thinking of the forests of Vrindavan, the Kunjavans and the Yamuna and Giriraj. And he was hankering. And in his own way, he was returning oftentimes to Vrindavan. Different shastras say that, because he couldn't live without Vrindavan. There's one verse in chapter 11, verse 38. We can examine that one. Shri Vrindaranya Vase Bhavasi Dhira Damodara Swami Tadase Nischintoham Shayana Kimapi Nagananye Dukam Asmin Sukam Va Santapam Neti Chetakatam Apinakyam Apyasti Satkarma Matram Nova Papa Nivritir Nacha Hari Charanam Boja Bhakti Chateti. Oh, my desires, if you are firmly determined to live in Vrindavan, then I can sleep without anxiety. I do not consider happiness or distress in this endeavor to live in Vrindavan. So I'm living in Vrindavan, maybe I'm distressed. I don't consider it. I'm happy. Oh, whatever. Come say, come sa. My heart will not feel distressed, and I will not perform any pious activities whatsoever. I am unable to give up committing sinful activities. And in fact, I do not have even a tinge of bhakti at the lotus feet of Sri Hari. Very interesting. Submission here. I may be fallen in so many different ways, but I know one thing. I'm determined to live in Vrindavan. And if my desires want to say anything other than live somewhere else or don't live there, why do you desire to live there or live there, then I won't be able to sleep. If such desires rise in my mind, I can't sleep. What is this? What this crazy mind is producing, the desire factory. The mind is a desire factory, creating a lot of defective products. A lot of products you have to recall. Whatever products the mind factory creates, you have to recall them because they're defective. bad. Like they sometimes make some car and it's some defect in the car. They say, careful, when you drive this car, the steering wheel may fall off. So then they call back the car and hope that not too many people crashed. So our mind is like a factory producing defective desires which cause us accidents. So we shouldn't drive those desires. We should return them to the factory as soon as they come out. As soon as they come out of the showroom, we should drive them right back into the mind and say, wait a minute, you're trying to tell me I should desire to live outside of Vrindavan? Wow. If you make that even more refined and you make the supreme renunciation to renounce Vrindavan to live in Radhakund, and then you think, oh, the mind will be saying, oh, but Vrindavan is, you can get Tropicana juice. In Vrindavan you can get pizza on call, home delivery. In Vrindavan you get ice cream and restaurants. And in Radhakund there's nothing, no pizza, ice cream, restaurants, nothing. There's nothing here but Radharani's mercy, and Giriraj's mercy, and Krishna's mercy. The mind is telling him, come back to Vrindavan. Very tricky fellow, that boy. Oh, my desire. So that's interesting. Have a dialogue with your desires. Usually we don't have time to have a dialogue. As soon as they come out, we're on the track. It's like you pull the plane out of the hangar and it automatically flies in the air. It doesn't even go down the runway. Usually pull the plane out of the hangar. Hangar means the garage, by the way, not your coat hanger. A coat hanger and an airplane hangar. So then they pull it out and they taxi across the runway and find their time to take off and take off. But desires, as soon as they come out of the hangar, they are in the air. You don't even have time to talk. Oh, he's 35,000 feet and cruising at an altitude of 660 kilometers. Look out, those that are sitting on the right-hand side of the plane can look out the window and see Mumbai in the distance, evaporating rapidly as we proceed towards Vrindavan. Don't be afraid and don't jump out of the plane, but we will get you there safely soon. So he's talking desires. Our desires don't talk, they walk. They walk, they stomp. Our desires don't walk, they stomp, they tromp. And they control us. Oh, my desire, listen, Sono, sit down, wait a second. If you're determined to stay in Vrindavan, then do it. I shall remain here with no other concern. I don't care for happiness, distress, mental anguish, pious deeds, freedom from sin, or the splendor of Hari Shuddha Bhakti, pure devotional service to Lord Hari's lotus feet. So, of course, Lord Hari in this case means Vishnu. Vishnu Bhakti. So this is our category here. Give up Hari Bhajan, desire Vaidhi sadhana to attain Vaikuntha. Just be fixed and determined to live and stay in Vrindavan. As they say, come hell or high water, I'll never leave Vrindavan. As I've told before in classes, someone lives in Govardhan and there's an eye cap in Barsana and he has cataracts, an old man in Govardhan. And if he goes 10 kilometers or so up the road to Barsana, he can get his cataracts removed from his eyes and then see his Gopal deity again and see Giriraj again without the clouded, impaired vision caused by the eye disease of cataracts. But he says, no, I won't go. I won't leave Govardhan. There are people like that. They won't even leave Govardhan to go to Barsana. He said, I'd rather stay here and be blind. This is obviously sounds fanatical, and I guess it is, but he's fanatically attached to Govardhan. His children and grandchildren are encouraging him, oh, come on, don't be so severe. He said, no, I can't do it. And what to speak of, there's several times there's eye camps in Agra, which is about 1 hour away from Vrindavan, Govardhan area. And but people certainly never go there. People will never leave Brajmandal. Not that one has to stay here all the time, but if someone has to go out and bring other people back to Vrindavan by preaching the glories of Vrindavan and Krishna Bhakti, then that's also sanctioned movement and acceptable and encouraged by the Lord to bring everyone to Vrindavan and bring everyone back home, back to Godhead, which means Vrindavan. So we get a taste of the spiritual world by living in this model of Vrindavan. This is a model home. Sometimes they have a housing development and they have a model home. And you can go in and see what it all looks like if you were to live there. Your living room and bedroom, and it creates more of an inviting atmosphere and convinces you that, well, it looks pretty good when it's all decked out, made up. A model home, maybe you've seen. Maybe model apartments, more appropriate to Bombay. So this Vrindavan is a model home. Back home, this is the model of back home. This is Vrindavan. Giriraj is back home, and Yamuna is back home, and Barsana is back. That's all. They're all there, in exactly the same configuration. Govindasthali, where old Govinda Mandir there, that's right there on the banks of the Yamuna. It's on a hillock, and it slopes down to Ramakund, and it further slopes down to Gopishwar, and then goes to Vamshivat, to Indira Shamir, and Yamuna Pulina, and the Yamuna. It's like that in the spiritual world, and the same topography and geography is here. And the same relationships of space and distance. So living in this Vrindavan is like moving around our home. We go from here to Nidhiban and the Sevakunjan. The only difference is the spatial consideration. That things will move and without any confines of space limitations. The Rasmandal may expand to infinite proportions to accommodate billions of gopis, but if you see Yamuna Pulina and the area of the Ras dance,
Bhagavatam Samasita Udashundaram Pandavavotikam Vishashashuvam Govinda Hari Krishna Hallelujah Saraswati Very mountain, Vashanti mountain, Shriyanjavati, Anandachi Maya Sadhu, Galavivasya, Govinda, Hari Krishna, Amahambhajani, Govinda, Hari Krishna, Amahambhajani, Govinda, Hari Krishna, Dhira Damodara Swami,
Namaste Saraswati Devi Goravani Prasad Devasya Sattvavari Prasad Namaste Saraswati Devi Goravani Prasad Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Rama. Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Krishna Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Vatsala Sri Gaurahari Vajabhakata Vatsala Sri Gaurahari Sri Gaurahari Sahi Goshta Bihari Nanda Jasomati Chitahari Dhira Damodara Ishaye Kana Bova Mandire Basi Karaha Bojana Nandirani Deshi Bashi Giri Baradari Baladeva Saha Soka Boise Sari Sari Shukra Dashakari Vajinalita Kushmanda Dalidana Dugda Tumi Dadi Mocha Kanda Mudabora Mash Boda Rotika Britana Daskuli Pistaka Kir Puli Payasana Kapura Amrita Keli Ramba Kirashara Amrita Rasaram Gadasha Pakora Luci Sinisar Puri Ladura Sabali Ojana Korena Krishna Koye Kutuhali Radhikara Pakayana Bibida Bhanjana Paramayanande Krishna Korena Bhojana Chale Bale Ladu Khai Sri Madhu Mangala Bagala Bajaya Deya Hari Bolo Radhikari Gani Hari Nayane Rakone Ripta Hoye Kai Krishna Jasoda Bhavani Bhojanante Priya Krishna Subhasita Bari Sabe Mukha Prakaloy Hare Sari Sari Asta Mukha Prakaliya Jata Sakagane Anande Vishrama Kore Baladeva Sane Jambula Rasalane Shambula Masala Tahake Krishna Chandra Suke Nidradela Vishalaka Shiki Pucha Chamara Dulaya Apurva Sayaya Krishna Suke Nidayaya Yasomati Anga Priya Danishaya Nito Sri Krishna Prasad Radha Unje Hoye Prito Lalitari Sakhi Gana Avashesha Paya Mane Mane Sukhe Radha Krishna Guna Gaya Hari Lila Ekamatra Jahara Pramoda Bhogarati Gai Thakur Bhakti Vinoda Kata Vatsala Sri Gaura Hari Kata Vatsala Sri Gaura Hari Sri Gaura Hari Sahi Gosta Bihari Sri Gaura Hari Sahi Gosta Bihari Nanda Jasomati Chita Hari Nanda Jasomati Chitahari Bhaja Govinda Govinda Gopala 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 Bhaja Govinda Govinda Gopala.
It's too sweet. Anxiety gave me this time. It took me a long time before I decided to come because I wanted to change the format. That's why we're bargaining, back and forth. But for 6 months, you get anxiety. Simple time, we'll just come. Yes, we spend a long time debating, and we're going to pay over 1 million naira. Yes, for change the date. 1 million. Why do you spend 1 million? I just go back. I will spend 1 million for. The only advantage is that I've done it. I will not see this man for 5 minutes. That's interesting. That was only. I was working that. And teacher and that man is very good. He's the best person I've seen. He's very straight and strong. I do not very good. That's strong connection.
Namayom Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Vishnu Padaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nivishesha Shunyavadi Pasyatya Deshatarini Nivishesha Shunyavadi Pasyatya Deshatari Krishna Tava Punya Habe Bhai Krishna Tava Punya Habe Bhai Tava Punya Habe Bhai Krishna Tava Punya Habe Bhai E Punya Koribe Jabe Radha Rani Kushi Habe Dhrubayati Boli Tomai Tai করিবে যাবে রাধা রানী খুশি হবে ডুবাইয়াতে বলে ক্ষমায় দাও কৃষ্ণ তব পুণ্য হবে বার, কৃষ্ণ তব পুণ্য হবে বার, হবে বার। সিদ্ধান্ত সারস্বতী সচিসুত প্রিয়তি সিদ্ধান্ত সরস্বতী সচিসুত প্রিয়তি কৃষ্ণ সেব্যজর তুলনা। সেই সে মহন্ত গুরু জগতের মধ্যে উরু কৃষ্ণ ভক্তি দেখায় তায়। জগতের মধ্যে কৃষ্ণ তব পুণ্য হবে বার, কৃষ্ণ তব পুণ্য হবে বার, কৃষ্ণ তব পুণ্য হবে বার। তারা ঈশ্বর বলবান পশায়েতে তান তান ওই যতে গৌরাঙ্গের নাম। পৃথিবীতে নাগরারি অসমুদ্র নাগনারী সকলে ওই কৃষ্ণ নাম। কৃষ্ণ তব পুণ্য হবে বার, কৃষ্ণ তব পুণ্য হবে বার, কৃষ্ণ হবে বার, কৃষ্ণ তব পুণ্য হবে বার। তাহলে হয় তবে হয় দিগ্বিজয় চৈতন্যের কৃপা অতিশয়। কৃপা অতিশয়। মায়া দুষ্ট যত দুঃখী জগতে সবাই সুখী বৈষ্ণবের ইচ্ছা পূর্ণ হয়। কৃষ্ণ তব পুণ্য হবে বার, কৃষ্ণ তব পুণ্য হবে বার, হবে বার, হবে বার। সে কাজ যে করিবারে আজ্ঞা যদি দিল মোরে যোগ্যান আছি আছি হীনহীন। তাই সে তোমার কৃপা মাগিতেছি অনুরূপা আজি তুমি সবার প্রবীণা। কৃষ্ণ তব পুণ্য হবে বার, কৃষ্ণ তব পুণ্য হবে বার, হবে বার। তোমার সে শক্তি পেলে গুরু সেবা বস্তু মিলে জীবন সার্থক যদি হয়। সেই সে সেবা হয়ে তাহারে সুখী ঘটে তব সঙ্গ বগেছে মিল কৃষ্ণ তব পুণ্য হবে পায় 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 Skip the next one. Next verse. Bimoras Shirasati Bulyamaya Rasati Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Going to Guru Puja and the class. See you later. Hare Krishna.